I'd like to welcome Biljana Ker-Lindsay to ask you a question. Biljana is the Associate Director for Gender and Inclusion at the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, EBRD. Thank you for joining us. And my question to you, and as Mohammed mentioned, you've worked with examples in the industrial engineering and lately in the tourism, bottom up, working with the private sector and trying to get them ready until the legislation and the policies are on ground. Can you give us some of your feedback, some of your experience on this, and also experience? I know that you've worked with sector skills councils in other countries, including Jordan. So give us also your experience in this. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Excellent. Thank you. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting EBRD, myself and my colleagues to this very important event. I must say that we are very honored as an institution to be supporting this important agenda. I'm personally very pleased to be here, not just that I have some winter sun coming from cold and gloomy London, but I also am very encouraged to see that this agenda, which can be a niche in many places, is receiving such top priority from the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, from the Ministry of Education, and also to see such a well-attended event with stakeholders from many different fields, because this is an area which is multifaceted, very complex, and requires expertise and skills from all of us around the table, from training institutions, from donors, from investors, private sector, etc. And last but not least, I think that having young people here today is very important. And I'm really, really pleased to see so many young people who are benefiting from our work, because let's not forget why we are all here. We are all here because of these young people and because of the future of this country and their future here. And I will agree with all of my fellow speaker and Professor Hala's point about the importance of efficiency and flexibility of the labor market. This is what we are trying to achieve. We're trying to build strong, resilient human capital for the future. And for that, holistic approach is needed. As the colleague from USAID said, both the bottom-up, demand-driven, but also top-down supply approach. And at the EBRD, this is exactly the approach we are taking. We are primarily an investor and we invest in private sector companies. So this bottom-up needs, the demands that employers have for skills, for competencies is where we start. What are their business challenges that we are trying to help them in order for them to grow, to go into new markets, to develop new products. But at the same time, we are an international organization owned by governments, including government of Egypt as one of our countries or country of operation. So we come at this both from the enterprise level, but also from the policy level, because the government angle is very important. It is systemic. It is long-term way of solving these challenges we are dealing with. This is the first point I wanted to make. The second point, when it comes to skills gaps and mismatches, and the challenge we have between labor market needs and outcomes of the education system that are not matching, we need to look at it from both the country level, national level, but importantly from sectoral level. That is why we partner with the Ministry of Education and Technical Education, ministries of labor in other countries, but also to look at what are the education and training policies, whether there are national qualification frameworks, whether they need to be improved, whether we have to look into national occupational standards, which exist, which are emerging occupations that we need to develop. So this is an important angle. But also from the sectoral, the partnership we have with Ministry of Tourism, for example, we need to look at it from a sectoral perspective. We work with ministries of energy, with Ministry of Agriculture in other countries. So these are the two levers that we try to employ. Why sector skills councils and why private sector? Every country and every sector has its own specificities, that's for sure. And there is no one size fits all. We know that. Sector skills councils also come in many different shapes and sizes, and they can be different governance models. They can be large on a sector like tourism, or smaller, more niche, or like electrical engineering. This is all depends on what are we trying to solve. We look at international experience, both in the EU, in Great Britain, but also in India and South Africa and other countries. But we also have experience from our own countries' operations, from Jordan, as you mentioned, from Serbia, Albania, from the Caucasus. And these are all the examples we see. And what we find is that either the private sector needs to take a lead role or an extremely crucial role for this agenda to be effectively addressed. So this is the common denominator that we are seeing across our countries. But it's not only that the private sector has all the answers. This is the partnership between the private sector and the government that holds the key to this. Government is needed. A government sets legislative framework. It sets institutional framework. It is very keen on improving skill supply in the labor market. It's keen on gender equality. I'm pleased that we have a gender parity on this panel. It's very nice to see that gender equality is very important. Low labor participation of women, young people. So the government has a broader, big picture view, while the private sector is needed because the private sector knows what exactly we are needing, at this point. Not when we commission a study which takes a year to develop. By the time we receive it, something has happened, like a shock of COVID or a war, and it's out of date. We need private sector constant input to understand what competencies are needed, what skills are needed, what behaviors are needed of the workforce for particular occupations. To forecast, we need private sector to work on applied technology schools, to help bring what technologies is used today and tomorrow in the private sector and bring that to the classroom and make sure that this is done. But also other stakeholders, training institutions, for example, civil society. We work with Saviris Foundation on the Guna Hospitality's Culinary Arts School. This is very, very important. And in Jordan, we have helped Ministry of Labor in the development of the law in 2019, which set up a new entity, TVET, Skills Development Commission. And the mandate is to institutionalize the role of the private sector in skills governance. This is now fully set up, and it manages about 10 sector skills council. And this is why I'm very encouraged to hear the latest development from Professor Hala about the sector skills council umbrella organization. This is really, really important. This will add to sustainability. This will add to establishing this private-public partnership model and really institutionalize the role of the private sector. So this is very good. And my final point is on the Sector Skills Council for Electrical Engineering, that we are very proud to have helped support. We worked with Ministry of Education on that. We looked at international best practice. We explored the best model for Egypt. We took into account the experience from ETPs, and we also worked very strongly with our private sector client. El Suedi Group had made an important input into strategic directions, into what are the most pertinent occupations that are needed, what are the first occupational standards that are needed to be developed. And I would not want to miss out the Federation of Egyptian Industry, Dr. Khalid Abdulazim, who was instrumental in setting up this Sector Skills Council, but also our partners, European Commission, USAID, European Training Foundation, GIZ, and others. So this is very, very important experience we have had. And we look forward, we working with Dr. Soha and Ministry of Tourism in the next Sector Scale Council. Thank you very much.